You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and joining me in this episode is...
Returning from the Great White North, it is I, Mike the Birdman Dodd, and glad to be back, especially because this is something that I'm intimately familiar with. I'm not talking about your mother this time. I'm talking about video games.
Wah, wah.
That's right. We have had an exciting couple of weeks in terms of the video game world with a lot of really fantastic announcements from a really awesome Nintendo Direct, a couple of really big games being announced, such as The Division 2, Black Ops 4 being officially announced for October of later on this year, and even the ESRB saying loot boxes there has to be a warning in front of them now. Like you didn't know this.
Really?
Well, yeah, because it technically you're buying certain items in there. Should there be a warning label on them? I guess technically. But you're paying for a chance to get something cosmetic. I mean, some games like, say, Dragon Ball FighterZ, for example, give you loot boxes, but it doesn't cost you any real money. It's only in-game currency, and it's all purely cosmetic stuff. So it doesn't really do anything, unlike, say, Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is, in essence, pay to win. And I can't believe how badly they screwed up that game, considering that game should have been fantastic, but ultimately was a big kick in the face.
That's unfortunate.
It really is, because that game should have been more awesome than what it was. But it turned into a mess. And they didn't know how to fix it, ultimately. So
yeah,
that's unfortunate.
I've been playing the crap out of Star Trek Online for like the last year, and honestly, like there's so many different currencies going on in that game. It's hard to keep track. You have like dilithium, you have Lobi, you have Latinum, you have electronic credits, you have I said dilithium. You have Zen, which is you can actually pay money for it, or you can trade dilithium for Zen in the game. It's just there's way too many currencies, and then during the summer months you have Lolu nuts, which I have no idea how exactly it's pronounced, but it sounds dirty. It's just too difficult. Plus, they have these random gambling sessions where they advertise, for instance, they say, "Oh, you get the R&D promotion. Open R&D packs for your chance at a," and then they say like tier 6 starship, including most original, and so like they clickbait you with a picture of the Constitution refit. That's a tier 6, which is like the highest level ship you can get in game, and that's it. Otherwise, the Constitution is the refit anyway is a tier 3, which sucks if you're trying to use it later in the game, which means that you really can't use it later in the game. So it just sucks. The only way you can get it is through one of these promotional packs, or you pay like 1.5 billion credits in the game.
So how much would that cost you in real money?
Probably like $200.
Get out of here! Are you serious?
Yeah, I've seen it go for that. That's why my crazy self before the digital exchange in game crashed, which you sell items you pick up. That's why before all of that happened, I had saved, I think in the summer months, the keys that open the promotional boxes, or the lock boxes. The keys were costing close to like 5 million credits, and I would buy low, sell high. Like I did it for long enough that I was able to buy up literally the entire market of all the lower priced keys and bump them as high as I wanted. To where I made, I think, like almost 400 million credits in game. Well, there was an ulterior motive. I was like, if I can't get to 1.5 billion, which was just stupid, to get this one ship, I got the Kelvin Constitution class starship, which is a tier 6. It's not exactly the aesthetics or the one I wanted, but I wasn't going to pay 5 times that to get that ship. So I opted for that one, which was like 315 million when I bought it in game. And so yeah, it still left me with some leftovers. So like, and then I of course bought more keys, and then the market tanked, and I was stuck with them for a long time, and I've finally gotten back up to like 60 million. But
wow,
it's so volatile in the game. And for the I mean, occasionally get new episodes, which it's free to play, so I mean you really can't complain all that much because you get a lot of playtime, a lot of options for everything, a lot of customization. They're going to have a Gamma Quadrant DS9 centric episode releasing this summer in game, and they've even got people like LeVar Burton coming back as like Geordi. They've got Odo back. They've got so I mean occasionally other characters come back in game and kind of show up. So I mean it's a lot of fun, but I've noticed that a lot of games are starting to do this. A lot of the pay to get this, pay to it's a lot of clickbait or gambling systems.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of loot boxes. Like one loot box system that does it right is Overwatch. It's purely cosmetic. It's random with what you get, but if you get duplicates, you get money. You get in-game currency, and then you can use that in-game currency to buy whatever you want. And you get a loot box every level you advance. Now, obviously, the higher tier you go, like it's going to take you more to get loot boxes at level 60 as opposed to level 30, just because you're a low-level character. Like my highest Overwatch character right now, I play on all 3 consoles. I play on PC, Xbox, and PS4. My Xbox one's at level 30. My other one's at level 21. My PC's my lowest at, I think I'm level 5. So I should really step on that at some point. But yeah, certain games get it right. I know Hearthstone, if you want to buy something, it's purely cosmetic. It doesn't change how the character functions, or not Hearthstone. Heroes of the Storm, that's what I meant. Stuff like that. But yeah, one of the big things that's going to be coming in gaming in the next little bit, it's a service that's been around since June of last year. You can buy it on Xbox for about $10 a month, and it's the Xbox Games Pass, which gives you access to over 100 titles from the Xbox's library. They're always adding stuff from backwards compatibility, but they're also adding new games all the time. Coming up this month, in March, there's a game called Sea of Thieves. You might be saying, well, what's the big deal? It's just another game. Well, here's the thing. If you pay for Xbox Games Pass, you get this game on the same day as it's released. So that means anything that's exclusive to Microsoft's console on day one, if you pay for the Games Pass, you get it. And for as long as you own Games Pass, you have that game. So let's say Microsoft decides to do something really awesome this year and give us Crackdown 3 State of Decay, which is going to be happening anyway, I think in May. But let's say this year they decide to drop Halo 6. It's not going to happen, but let's say it did. This could kill retail, especially if more companies decide to jump on with it, because they're still getting paid anyway. Mm-hmm. Like I've got a friend of mine who works for a big box retailer, and they're worried. They're like, we don't know how this is going to affect brick and mortar, because more games are going towards games as a service, because there'll be certain games you even buy now. You go into the store, and let's say even if you do get a CD, it's just the installer. You still have to download the game from the internet. I know Blizzard games are like this. For example, when I bought StarCraft Legacy of the Void, I remember the install didn't take all that long, but maybe I was just downloading patches because it had taken a while. But the game is stored in the cloud. So
Yeah, Diablo 3, it does the same thing, essentially. It installs the full game on your computer, but your save files are not there. They're all synced with the cloud, so if you have no internet access, you cannot play the game.
yeah, and that's kind of a big pain in the ass because I've got friends of mine that live out in the boondocks, and they're like, well, this Game Pass is great, but it's not going to help me because my internet connection's not that fast. And at which point I'm thinking, Jesus, it's time to move to the city, kid. But there are people whose situations are going to be like that. But yeah, I mean, Microsoft could have a real winner on their hands here, especially if they keep adding the backwards compatibility, if they keep adding more and more games from third-party publishers. Because PlayStation now has the game streaming service, which allows you to play older titles, but it's not true backwards compatibility. It's streaming. So that will depend vastly upon your internet connection as opposed to just downloading the game to your hard drive.
Which I'm much more in favor of because then you have the game.
Yeah, exactly. Then you can play it offline with no repercussions. You don't have to stream it. You don't have to have an always-on internet connection. I'm not a huge fan of this games as a service. I don't like the idea of my games being purely digital. And here's a good example. A couple years ago, Capcom had lost the license to Marvel characters for a little while. And that means I couldn't download Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which was one of my all-time favorite fighters. Now, obviously, they got that license back with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is their newest fighting title. But for a time, you couldn't get that game again because it was delisted from the PlayStation Store. And even if you went out and bought the quote-unquote physical copy of the game, which you could do at GameStop, it was just a code inside of a case. Which like I said, I like digital because it's more convenient for me. But at the same time, if I want to have that game to pop in my system offline, or if I ever want to resell it, then I have that option. For example, on my Xbox One right now, in the cloud, I have over 200 games.
Wow.
Now, some of you are thinking, holy shit, that's nuts. And it is, because I get a lot of these games from companies for review and whatnot, like I'm reviewing Far Cry 5 right now, and I'm reviewing Yakuza 6. Cool. But what am I going to do when I'm done with those games? Typically, in the past, I take those games down to GameStop and I trade them in. But now that I have them only digitally, you can't resell them. Now, Microsoft had thought about doing something where you could resell digital games, but I don't think it ever caught on or it never got out of its pilot phase. Because all you're doing is really trading a CD key, and you'd only be getting a fraction of what you paid for it. So the system was flawed right from the get-go, right? Because people assume you should pay less for digital goods.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't necessarily disagree with that on some level, but if I pay $50 for a game, I'd like to get my $50 back, or at least a good chunk of it back. But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, this is a pretty big deal. Like I said, if Microsoft can get the right third-party support, and if they launch the right exclusives with this, I'm willing to pop down $10 a month to get some older titles that I haven't really played. Because it's basically Netflix for video games. And that's something we've always wanted.
Oh yeah, totally.
We've had on live and stuff like that, game streaming services, but the Xbox program just seems so much better, especially if it's day one releases. Sure, I'll go beat Halo, and if I don't like it, who cares? It only costs me $10 a month. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I used to play. I don't know if you remember this, but Microsoft had a service way back when it was free. It was called the MSN Gaming Zone.
Yep, I remember this.
I used to use it quite often, actually. And those were back in the days of dial-up. uh, playing, Beast Wars Online and multiplayer of 4 people, which was just unheard of really at the time. And, now you get these big services where you can actually get, the full game and download it and play it in multiplayer. It's just, it's insane how much the world's changed.
Yeah, like I said, this could be a complete game changer, and I really think Sony's going to have to rethink their approach, especially when it comes to backwards compatibility, because I think that was a fatal mistake for them. When Xbox announced backwards compatibility, people were cheering, and PlayStation said, no, we don't need that. I played more 360 games than I have in an awful long time, because the 360 library is still viable, and they're updating the older games all the time, especially with the Xbox One X. They add new texture packs. Certain games look really, really good. So there's something to be said for that.
I'm excited because EA Access is getting Warner Brothers content library.
When is that supposed to go live?
2 weeks.
Excellent. What are some of the games that will be coming out with that?
Arkhamverse.
Ooh.
I know you can get them on Steam, or you could at one point. I'm just more excited about it because I have EA.
As do I.
And they're the ones that house Mass Effect. They house Battlefield. They house majority of those things. And so I'm one of those that I would rather have it all in one dashboard that I already use. I mean, I have all the Command & Conquer stuff, games in there. I have Mass Effect. I have Battlefield 4 1. I'm going to have Battlefield 5 in there at some point when that comes out later this year. So, I mean, I'm super excited for that. Plus, I'm hoping that on the off chance one of those games become free. Because periodically EA on Origin put games free to play or on the house, and you can claim them and add them to your account and download them anytime you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now on their on the house games that are completely free during their however long period of time. They occasionally have demos, like they have free to play games. They have some new Command & Conquer Tiberium Alliances, which is free to play, which not very much fun. But they have on the house right now Dead Space,
which is a fantastic series of games.
And yeah, it says available for a limited time only. Save 100%. And it's free. You don't even have to have Origin access. I mean, if you have access, you can play pretty much anything you want. But as long as you're a subscriber to it. But the fact that it's going to be on Origin just makes me excited.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool because I'm just looking at it right now. You'll get the Arkhamverse, all the Lego Batman games.
Yep.
Some lesser extended stuff you'll get is Bulletstorm and some other games I just haven't heard of.
Yeah, because really the only thing Origin has right now is Battlefield, The Sims, Star Wars. Dying over here. But Mass Effect, Titanfall.
Yeah, I mean there's going to be a lot of because Warner Bros. Is a fantastic third party publisher, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what can be given from there.
But yeah, so and then additionally, kind of more into the gaming universe, I was reading that LAN cafes are making a comeback.
Yeah, and I think that's actually pretty friggin' amazing because I grew up on LAN cafes. I remember playing Duke Nukem and Shadow Warrior and Doom and StarCraft and Warcraft in places like that.
I remember doing LAN battle because we at my dad's house when we were all over there for the weekend, we used to have a network cable that would be snaked across the ceiling. because we had both computers across from each other in the living room. And we would play like Diablo 2 together, or we'd play Command and Conquer, or Doom, or Duke Nukem 3D. And then later on, like when I was in high school, we did LAN parties. So if like you were one of the all A students, they would tell you, like by midterm you have to be up to an A. You don't have to have an A on the first report card. You just have to have an A at this point. And then at the end of the year, they had another LAN party, and they set up all the computer labs. So you had like 60 computers, set up, and the teachers would play with you. This goes to show you the times. We would play Half-Life and Counter-Strike and on the LAN, and it was just insane because we're all sitting there playing a first-person shooter, which isn't really kosher anymore. But the fact that it was, the reward system, you get to play gaming with other gamers, and the teachers were notoriously good at the games as well. I was sneaky in the games, but yeah, I mean I miss that kind of dynamic. I think that it's kind of a lost art at this point. I mean, I think that between the esports stuff where they're having tournaments of people doing LAN parties, and then the fact that you're seeing these cafes pop up again, when I remember seeing them about 10 years ago, and then they just kind of all disappeared.
My favorite was always setting up LAN parties in my house. When I first had my first apartment, or my second apartment, my girlfriend at the time had just left me. So I had this huge apartment all to myself. So what would I do is my friends would bring over all their computers. We had a 16-port switcher. We had 16 computers in this little cramped space, all playing MechWarrior 3, Halo. Actually, I remember doing Xbox parties like this too, and that was, oh boy, was that a trick. Trying to get everything all set up because everybody had to bring TVs too. It wasn't just computer monitors. But yeah, we used to have these huge LAN parties. I remember going over to my friend Dave's house, and we'd play Rainbow Six Rogue Spear. We'd play Counter-Strike, Half-Life, Unreal Tournament, Quake, all these fantastic things. And I'm really glad to see kids get that experience again, because I think there's something to be said for couch co-op, or at least LAN co-op, stuff like that. Because if you're going to talk trash, I'd rather you be beside me so I can punch you in the head, as opposed to being
it's
anonymous. Yeah, it's true. I mean, I sincerely look forward to having that back, because I remember people raised a stink when I think one of the Halo games didn't have couch co-op. They took it out because they're like, well, you need to see the whole screen. And thinking, that's...
And you got to play online.
Yeah, like, that sucks. Yeah, I mean, it's cool if I want to play with a buddy who happens to live in another state.
Now, I will say this. I went to, what was it? There was a convention I went to about a year or two ago, and they had video games in one of the halls, and it was a LAN party. And they had various different consoles set up. Like, you had your Xboxes, you had your PlayStations, you had your PCs, you had your Nintendo Wii's. That's just what people had. Anyways, they had what was the Wii U? That's what it was. And they were playing like Smash Brothers on some of them. Man, that was the most ridiculous fun, just because there was these people there that were just mopping the floor with people in these games, and I don't like to toot my own horn too much, but I was pretty good too. It was pretty much me and that other guy neck and neck a lot of the time, but yeah, it was. There's so much fun to just sitting down and having a battle with other people in person.
Absolutely. Like, there used to, there's an old arcade saying, and I feel like an old man even saying it, but I got next. You put your quarters down on the machine, and that marks it, that you're going to challenge the winner.
Yeah, that's That's what we did. We would put our pops on the table like, I got next.
Yep, that's how we used to challenge each other in Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. Those were those days, and I miss those days because I miss the arcade, but I also miss LAN too. So I'm glad to see they're making a comeback. Maybe the Internet Cafe and Surge will make a comeback next.
Yeah.
So another piece of gaming news, if you were following things last week, Nintendo had one of their infamous Nintendo Directs. And normally these things, you either get something really amazing or something really, really, really lame. This one was actually pretty intense. Some of the most notable things is a 3DS port of Luigi's Mansion with enhancements, which is pretty cool. Octopath Traveler, which had a fantastic demo. It's finally got a release date of July 13th, I think. Bowser's Inside Story, and Mario. I'm trying to think of what was the other one. Along with, sorry, let me try that again. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story is being remade for the 3DS, along with Bowser Jr.'s story. That's going to be coming out in 2019. Okami HD is coming out for the Switch. That game's been ported like a million times. Mario Tennis Aces is coming out on June 22nd. Undertale, which is a fantastically weird game, which I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's friggin' weird, is coming to the Switch with a release date of quote-unquote eventually. Hyrule Warriors comes to the Switch on May 18th, but the big thing in the room that I haven't mentioned is Splatoon 2 is getting DLC. No. Smash Brothers Switch is finally coming, and that's going to be later on this year with characters from the Splatoon series. So the Inklings will be joining the fight, which is very cool. Hopefully there'll be more characters coming in to see who else they put in, because I know there's a new amiibo for the Dark Souls game. I don't even know much. It's Solaire of Astoria. I kind of wonder if they'd put the Dark Souls guy into Smash Brothers, which would be ridiculous and stupid. But hey, it's got Ryu and Cloud, so what more can I say when it comes to ridiculousness?
Well, I am a huge fan of Super Smash Brothers all the way back to the N64. And so, like, I honestly, like, if I had the game system, which I don't, I would have this game.
Well, didn't I give you a 2DS with Smash Bros?
I had to get Smash Bros.
Okay, I wasn't sure whether I gave you a copy or not. But yeah, I mean, one character I've always wanted, and why Konami won't do this is beyond me. License Simon or Trevor Belmont. That would be awesome. If you gave me Simon Belmont in a Smash Brothers game, he'd probably play like a mix of probably like Samus with the whip, kind of like the grapple beam, and probably like Princess Peach with all the different items. That's how I picture him playing, which I think would be utterly fantastic. Probably a high recovery character, because if you can use your grapple, if you can use your whip to grab onto the edge of a stage, I think that'd be pretty cool. Or to throw people across the stage. I'm really curious to see how the Inkling characters are going to play, because I haven't played my Smash game in a long time. I haven't played it. I played it more on my Wii U because I like the bigger controller, but I did play a lot portable because I love being able to just get the crap out of people on the go. Obviously, it's a fantastic game for conventions, but with the Switch being so portable, this is going to bring a whole new realm of players in the Smash. And hopefully you can use, I guess you can use the Switch's Pro controller. So that'll be how I'll mostly be playing, because I hate the Joy-Con, I really do. Because I don't play my Switch very much. I've got Breath of the Wild and I've got Mario Kart, but I barely play it. So it sits mostly in a box. I use my Xbox One and my PS4 more so than I do anything else. But yeah, Nintendo's done a really fantastic job with the Switch. It's their fastest selling system. It's their most powerful system they've got. Its lifetime sales have already outbeaten the Wii U by a significant amount, which shouldn't surprise anybody in the room. Its lifetime sales, I mean. Because the Wii U, for everything it wasn't very successful. And that's unfortunate, because I think that system is underappreciated. And you're starting to see a little bit of a collector market form around it right now, because they're getting harder to find because they stopped producing them late last year, I think. Or, sorry, maybe it was the year before last. Either way, they're getting harder to find at retail. Even the secondary market's getting kind of hard on them. My Wii U, I probably will never give up because I have so many games on the hard drive that I just don't want to lose essentially what is an emulation machine. But anyway, trying to think, what else can I mention about video games here, Steve, since this is a very gaming-focused Altered Geek?
I'm looking forward to Battlefield 5, honestly.
One game I'm looking forward to, it comes out in April. It's a PC game, and that's huge for me. I never play PC games. But the company, Harebrained Schemes, the guys who got the license for the fantastic Shadowrun and Shadowrun Returns, have the BattleTech license now. And BattleTech is Mech Warrior, for those of you that aren't necessarily familiar with that, based upon basically a game of walking tanks and 31st century warfare. And they got the license to that game, and it comes out on April 14th, I want to say. It comes out in April either way. And I'm actually going to pre-order it. And that is something, for me to pre-order a PC game, it takes a lot. The last PC game I pre-ordered was StarCraft Legacy of the Void. And that was 2 years ago.
See, I've never pre-ordered a game.
Wow. My most expensive pre-order was Call of Duty Black Ops 3 because I got the Juggernog edition, and that was $300. And that was totally worth it because I've got a mini fridge out of it. Yeah, I tend to pre-order games because I want to guarantee I get all the exclusives. Like, if there's exclusive digital content, you've got me hook, line, and sinker every time. And I know people say, don't pre-order, speak with your wallet. Yeah, but I want the silly hat, so to speak. And that will always sucker me in, is that, unfortunately. Because I remember when Smash Brothers was hard to find. But say, well, I could have pre-ordered, but now we live in the age of digital where you don't have to pre-order. Yeah, you can digitally pre-order, and you still get the like silly hat, but you can still get the game day one anyway. But I like to pre-order in advance, like I said, to get the silly hat.
Yeah,
or extra characters.
I'm not one of those pre-order people, but it's not for the reasons. It has nothing to do with the game itself, because I generally probably would, except for the fact that I'm fine waiting until it's at a price I can afford.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the reason why I don't buy things when they first come out. I wait quite a while, and then I hit them up when they're cheap. Like, I've done that with the Arkham games. I've done that with the majority of films. I've done it with anything that comes out. I wait until it's old hat, and then I buy it for a discount, and then I play the crap out of it.
Oh, I can't do that. For me, it's all about day one. For me, I have to be one of the first people to beat it, like, in the world. Like, I'm one of those super uber competitive types. I know I'm competing against nobodies, but I have to.
Well, like, the beautiful thing is when I got my Xbox 360 when it first came out, mm-hmm. is that I bought it, I got Arkham City, and that was it. I couldn't afford to really buy anything else at the time, and so I literally had no other games until I went to a store that sold used video games, not like GameStop or anything. We have some other different types around here. But yeah, I did that because that was the only way I could make it work.
With me, I'm like I said, I'm the type of person I have to have it brand new. Now, if it comes to buying stuff used, I'll only look for collector's editions that I don't have, which is funny because I'm liquidating some of my games right now to get more money for my wheelchair. And I'm kind of realizing a lot of these games I bought on day one, I'm thinking, man, there's even games I realized I haven't even cracked the plastic on because I got them digitally anyway. Like, I got the collector's edition of Fallout New Vegas. Mm-hmm. And I remembered I got this game from Bethesda, but I got it digitally too. And I just never cracked the physical copy because I was going through my games to sell. I'm thinking, why does this still have the plastic on it? Which I guess I should almost send you another care package of games if I can't get rid of these things. Because you're still a 360 gamer. Which you never did take me up on my $20 challenge.
Yeah, I actually had sold off my 360 a while back.
Witchcraft.
It was old hat. I couldn't play any new games.
That's true. That is fair because there are.
But by the time I'd really kind of buckled down and I'd started getting a bunch of games used, anything that I wanted to play was no longer it was no longer being made for the 360. Everything was for the Xbox One, and I was like, well, that didn't last long.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny you mention the systems dying. It was recently announced for PlayStation example. PlayStation Plus subscribers have been getting free PS3 games and free PlayStation Vita games as well. And as of next year, that will come to an end. Which means the PlayStation 3's life cycle is officially at an end, and so is the PlayStation Vita, which is only being kept alive by third-party publishers and PlayStation Plus. Which it's unfortunate to see that system die out the way that it did. I have a PlayStation Vita. Christ, if I know where it is right now. It's somewhere in this abomination of a house, because I know I didn't sell it. And I got a lot of good games for it, too. I just like how it's a powerful emulation machine, but also I can play PlayStation 1 games on it and certain PlayStation portable games like Peace Walker and stuff like that. I'm going to have to find that thing now. That is my mission this weekend, to find my PlayStation Vita. Because that's an it's on the to-do list, and it's sad to see such a powerful piece of hardware die such a wimpy death. So, that's all the gaming news I can really think of, Steve. That's all the stuff that I got in like my back pocket.
Yeah, that's really all I had too. I mean, I'm waiting for, like I said, more information on Battlefield 5, which is again set in World War II, has loot boxes, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just kind of looking forward to seeing what they do, because I've a lot of people that I've gamed with have been playing it since the initial game, or since Battlefield 2 at least, and a lot of them go back and play Battlefield 3. A lot of them played Battlefield 4. A lot of them kind of gloss over the Battlefield 1 just because they're kind of just meh at this point. They just kind of went back and started playing the old games again. I'm one of the ones that I started on Battlefield 4. I'll occasionally go back and play it, more so because there's this one particular episode that I really enjoy, or mission, and it just keeps playing the same mission over and over again on this particular server, which is spectacular because I'm like a sniper with a rocket launcher.
Nice.
It's sick. I'm so good at it. But I play with an Xbox 360 controller, so that's part of it. I honed my skills on the 360, and then I came back to the game, and I was like, I'm good. But yeah, so I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. But in the meantime, I'll be playing Star Trek Online, which seems to be the game that I keep going back to, beating the game, and then I'll start a new character.
My thing is, I'll be playing Overwatch, and hopefully coming into April, hopefully I'll be playing a lot of BattleTech. I really hope this game is good. A lot of the footage for it does look good. I mean, go look this thing up on YouTube. I think it's just called BattleTech from Harebrained Schemes. It looks fairly impressive. So, if you have any gaming, hell, if you guys want to game with us, add me on Xbox One. It's Birdman Twig, and I think it's Birdman Dot on PlayStation 4. I'm always playing Overwatch. So that's the game that I'm probably the most often to be playing with. I forget I think my Steam tag is Birdman Twig. I don't play many PC games. I play Friday the 13th, mostly on Xbox, but I do have it on Steam as well, or will have it on Steam. So I guess for Altered Geek, we have been Mike the Birdman Dodd.
And Steve Megatron Phillips saying, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.
I got next.